Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. Today I'm here with Deen, who has over 2 decades experience in the bookkeeping, private equity, corporate finance, and tax advisory, and is the founder of Ascend Financial Partner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Leo.
So tell us a little bit more. What do you guys do at Ascend?
So Ascend is essentially bringing together three financial touch points of high income earners, professionals, or business owners. One being the accounting and bookkeeping aspects, particularly for the business owners. The other would be the tax advisory, tax planning and strategy. And the third would be the wealth planning, which includes legacy planning, estate planning, and trusts and successorship. So essentially what we found was that when you have different advisors for people who are high net worth, and they have multiple advisors and they're trying to intermediate that relationship and those conversations between one another, there's inherent inefficiencies, which I like to call the complexity tax. Taking those conversations, making sure that they're happening at the right time and that you're getting them the maximum benefit ROI in terms of tax savings or how your wealth planning is integrated with your tax whatnot. So essentially, the microfamily office concept is targeting people with a net worth of above $5 million, up to $25 million. These are people who are not served by multifamily offices, single family offices, and essentially they end up with retail level services which are not adequate for them.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's a really interesting niche to go into, targeting more as a whole, the family. What got you into that niche?
Yeah, so I mean, I've touched upon over my career different points, the different financial touch points of one single client. So I started off in taxes, ended up in private equity after that, spent some time in corporate finance, and then I came back to taxes. And when I came back to taxes, having had a broader oversight of what a private equity or investment management looks like, or corporate finance, in-house corporate finance looks like, what I found was when I'm working with my business owners as a CPA, doing tax strategies for them, I found financials which had explicit issues, whether the bookkeeping wasn't done right or whether there were inherent fractional CFO opportunities to optimize. And essentially having different advisors, you're having varying levels of costs. And I saw an opportunity for packaging it up in one bundle and offer it from one point.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty interesting that you saw that opportunity. I don't think I've really spoken to that many people that do that as one package. And then, so what are some of the interesting projects as a business that you guys are currently working on, internally?
Well, internally, we are not a high volume business. So initially, as we started off, and I think this has just been 1 year since I have started the microfamily office model, our volume of intake was never significant so that we would need to initially and immediately focus in on systems. And so a lot of the business was being done on Google Sheets or Excels and, Word documents. And all of it's fine when you have a sort of somewhat of a small portfolio clientele. But as soon as you start sort of having traction from the market, more referrals coming in, and it's not symmetric across the years, across the months. So you're not having 2 clients come in every single month. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 0. And then when you have 4 or 5 more than the volume that you can handle, you start understanding where your deficiencies are. So automation is what we're looking into to the extent what softwares and platforms, and essentially moving away from doing those jobs on a manual basis.
Yeah. And I imagine you're trying to keep track of everything on a Google Sheets at a certain scale. That definitely does start getting a little bit more complex. And then, so what would you say are some of the key areas that you are looking at automating?
So from the point of the sale happening, the onboarding, the customer journey and experience within our internal platform, the customer portal, the automation of emails that go out, the setup and the practice management software of the different times at which we are touching them on taxes or bookkeeping or whatnot, but also creating, and this is something that we're working on right now, or at least the idea is there, bringing it into reality by speaking about it, is creating a financial dashboard for a check-in for the client. The client logs into one place and is able to see their whole asset portfolio, income returns, the income that they're generating on their, different assets, and how everything ties up with the tax savings in one financial sort of dashboard. That's what we're working on. We're quite excited about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I imagine that's going to save a lot of time having a unified system like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think right now all the clients are sort of, if they want to look at their wealth portfolio, they're going in one place. And then if they want to look at their taxes, it's another place. And actually, even for us right now, we are not there yet where we would be able to capture all of those KPIs in a dashboard. So we're looking forward to that. I think that's going to be super exciting and helpful for the clients.
And then what's your current process at the moment in terms of like client acquisition? Where do you find these high net worth families that you work with?
So at the moment, it's all been by the word of mouth. Clients that have previously worked for, clients who have known me. So we haven't gone to the point where we're sort of, doing lead gen or online marketing, using social media, whatnot. But the intent is to get the message out there to those who may or may not, may have the sort of challenges that our clients were facing before. And I think at that point in time, if the sort of, let's say, bucket of water is poured upon us, as that lead gen sort of gets traction, we want to be ready for that. So far, it's just been organic, word of mouth, just really setting the systems, getting the systems in place.
Okay. And then so you said so you're looking at expanding the marketing a little bit to do a little bit more online marketing?
Absolutely. And that's not my background. So it would be one of the things that, people should always keep in mind and consider is two things. Number one, where you are, you have your area of expertise and where you should get those expertise from from outside. And number two, not always be competing all services on price. It's not a tangible product. It's not a Toyota Camry that is manufactured in the same, price to price comparison. Services, it's very easy to shortchange the client. If you're going to go for the cheapest service, you're probably going to get the cheapest quality of that service. So we're looking to find the right partners on that once we have the internal systems and automations in place to be able to uptake the volume.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I like what you said in terms of like you focus on the things that you're strong at rather than trying to then learn a completely new skill set that maybe you don't focus. And also the opportunity cost. It's like if you're so good, if you're really good at managing the taxes, why would you learn a whole new skill set of then marketing the other thing?
I mean, I think the instinctual reaction people have is how can I save money, but at what cost? Right.
Yeah.
And same thing goes. I mean, a lot of clients can chat GPT their taxes, but they may end up with an IRS audit, or they may end up, having missed opportunities, which, GPT is not the greatest strategist yet, at least. So I'm not concerned there. But at some point in time, yeah, we are going to have models out there which will do a fantastic job. And then us as accountants will have to probably figure out some other value item that we're offering.
Yeah. And then so while we're on this topic, it's a good segue. So how do you see the future changing, if you can go in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, I think the language learning models right now, the challenge that they have is that they're consensus based. So they look at what they find online or repeat it as many times. And if something might even be wrong, but has been said more than what's been right, this is where, sort of the issues are. I'm sure, the global tech AI giants are going to figure all of this out, and we're going to be all replaced at some point in time. But then, we have to find one thing which I believe AI will not be able to do, which is the human relation. And I think that's our priority as a firm, the way that we treat our clients, the white glove treatment and whatnot. So those personal relationships, we hope to retain, and the confidence and trust of the client.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Especially in some of the annoying things with the AI is, I don't know if you, like the little dashes that it always has when you get it. And then I don't know how many times I reprogram it. I've even built my own GPTs explicitly saying do not include it, but it keeps including it. So I always like to say AI is really smart for some things and really dumb for other things.
So, I mean, I think the way that I use it is that I definitely use it because I can put in the context of what I want, and then I let it clean it up, and then I further fine tune it, take it off, and then just reword it in my tone and whatnot. But my GPT is getting a little bit better. Not there yet. I think a few years in, we might be having better GPTs.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then so, what are some of the ways that you already have implemented AI into your business?
We, because we use sensitive information, personal information, we have to keep that information outside of GPT. Some of the things that I am testing right now is that we have text preparation, for example, There are tools out there, softwares that have been created that are OCR capturing, AI organizing source documents. So I'm trying them out and testing the margin of error that they have at the moment. We are possibly going to move on to that, but we still will keep the human reviewers if that is a preparer and a reviewer in place up until the point where we feel that we're fully confident in what the AI is putting out. But I think that is still expected to be a few years away, and I would like to keep the human element involved regardless.
Right. So currently doing a little bit, looking for tax preparation to help get AI to help a little bit more with that.
Yeah, correct. And I think the other thing is, there are tools for tax strategies as well, but unfortunately, what I've found is that the tools are still providing very cookie cutter strategies. The work that we do, and specifically for the clients at the level of complexity that they have, it's all bespoke work. So it's really difficult. Certain basic strategies, yes, these platforms which provide you tax strategies work, but otherwise they sort of are not able to go to the next level at this time. So yeah, we're testing the products on the market, seeing what would be a fit. But what we have integrated is the practice management software, which integrates with our QuickBooks, which is what we're using, or Xero, or the tax software that we use, and the tax organizer. So the tools that integrate, we're using them. They all claim to have some sort of AI capabilities. I haven't found that to be super exciting yet. In the future, I hope that it will be offering more value.
Yeah, and what I find as well with the AI capabilities is having them communicate with the different softwares that you have as well. Having it have all these functions is all well and good, but if it doesn't talk with the other software that you use, it's not really as helpful.
And the other challenge is that even if it is talking, the integration may not be passing on the data the way that you want it to be. So passed on incorrectly. And then you're sitting there correcting that, which sometimes is double the work of actually inputting the data yourself and doing it correctly the first time around.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so I always like to ask as well. So let's say you could have a magic AI robot get started with you tomorrow and start doing something that you wanted. What would that one like task be, or thing that you would get the AI robot to do?
It would be very great if I could have an AI that sort of would be attached as a AI robot to a specific client, and would be a database of everything about the client. We feed the information into it. It's able to respond to the client. It's able to just take care of the client, and 24/7. Would be great if they're able to provide, sort of linking back to tax database, maybe some easier answers that the clients might have. So yeah, I mean, basically to the extent that we could replace human beings and the availability of human beings, that would be great. But workflow automations, that is a good starting point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So essentially for the first point, it's like a AI chatbot that knows the client's history and goals and everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And then, yes, but, even until we get there, I think a good starting point would be just, workflow automations to the extent possible.
Okay. And then when you say workflow automations, what are some like examples?
So an example would be, an inquiry received from a client, classifying it in terms of priority when the deadline, the client needs to get a response, having an immediate acknowledgement sent out to the client. One of the things that you find in the industry, in the accounting industry in general, is two things. Number one, the clients say that the accountants speak accounting, and that's not necessarily the language the clients understand. And so that would be wonderful to have that sort of language simplified. And the second thing would be accountants only reply to me at the end of the year, or, when the tax season starts or whatnot, or my books I don't know how to make sense of them. So if those aspects could be captured within where the AI would have the intelligence to be able to respond to those, basic level of questions, then we could be doing more complex work for the client rather than dealing with the basics day to day, which does take up a significant amount of time.
Right. So just like getting back to the client with all the different questions.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever the AI would be able to handle at level of complexity, answer those, and then otherwise, send the more complicated questions over to us.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. And then How about, so another question I always like to ask is, what has been one of the like best books that you've read that's helped you with the business?
So, in general, I would say that, coming from corporate most of my life, this is one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich. I read it when I was maybe 16, and I had
Yeah.
to reread it. And I'm not going to go deep into the sort of, the energetics of pulling in, what you want and making a reality out of it. But essentially, the mind is either your friend or your enemy. And so it's, use it and treat it as your friend and take care of it. It absolutely has been a block for me to go from corporate to business, going from stable income to varied income. That risk for a usual corporatized person like myself, it's not comfortable, not comforting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Entrepreneurship definitely is a emotional roller coaster, and I like that book. I've read that a couple of times myself as well. Have you, similar along the same as that one, have you read The Monk That Sold His Ferrari?
I haven't.
So The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. It's similar to that. And it's a lot about like mindset and like little habits and things that you do. It's been pretty good as well. I'm currently reading it, and I got another friend recommended it. So that's been pretty good.
And I think I probably need to read a book on time management, because I find myself not to have enough time for anything at all. So I think if I sort of setting those boundaries, not being super available all the time to anyone who needs help. It's my nature to respond and just get to things. But yeah, there are a few practices and disciplines that I definitely need to work on.
Oh yeah. Have you read? It's called The One Thing.
The One Thing, not yet.
So that's like, it's basically on time management. So it's like the one thing by Gary Keller. Yeah, The One Thing by Gary Keller. That's a really good book in terms of like time management as well. So check that out.
Sure.
So I know we're starting to run out of time here. So let's finish on the last thing. What's been one of like the most valuable lessons that you've learned in business?
I think, and this is what we're integrating right now into the business model. What is the point of the money that we make? What is the value of your time? You have to think about this. And when you start thinking about these things, what does your family mean to you? How much time do you want to spend over there? So once you start answering these questions, the wealth in itself is not the objective. The goal is, what do we want to do with that wealth? What's the point? What's the purpose? Who do we want to create as the future inheritors of our wealth? How do we make sure that we put those systems in place in terms of our legacy plans, creating foundations or, whatnot. So I think we need to think beyond the money, because I think money, people, once they've earned that success, sometimes they don't know where that ends and they keep driving that money edge. But I think we need to know what the point of that money is. How do we want that money to work for us and serve us and our families?
Yeah. So getting just a really deep understanding of like your why, essentially beyond just money.
Absolutely. And be the visionary leader of as to how you want your future generations that you don't even know exist today and how they look like. Shape them today. Set it up in your legacy plans, set it up in your wealth plans. Leave them a solid foundation so that they can carry on in your footsteps.
Yeah, love that. Well, it's been great having you on. Where can people go to find a little bit more about what you guys do and about you?
Yeah, Ascend Financial Partner without an S. So Ascend, ASCEND, financialpartner.com. And you can reach me on Deen, DEEN, at ascendfinancialpartner.com.
All right, awesome. Well, I'll put that in the show notes below. I appreciate you coming on. You guys have been listening to the Business Growth Podcast. Until next time, keep growing.